Welcome to A Double
Double
and Dice
with your host Kim.
and Jocelyn.
Pour your favorite beverage,
Pull up a comfy chair.
because we are ready to roll. Time,
Space.
reality.
It's more than a linear path
It's a prison of endless possibilities.
where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities.
Creating alternate worlds from the ones you know.
We are the Watchers.
We are your guides through these vast new realities.
Follow us and ponder the question.
What if?
Dice Masters had no content creators.
Hey, Kim.
Hey, how's it going, Jocelyn?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm good. Just sitting here and ready to play my game.
Yeah, it's so fun to see you. I haven't seen you in ages. What are you here at Game Time to play today?
I'm playing Dice Masters. Ever heard of it?
Dice Masters. No,
Yeah.
I haven't heard of that game. Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, you build a team of 8 cards, and then these cards have abilities, and what you're really doing is rolling dice. And you battle based on dice.
So it's like cards with dice?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. So is it like Magic with dice?
I don't play Magic, but from what I know about Magic, it's only cards. There are no dice in Magic, so...
Yeah, well, that's what I'm here to play. I'm here to play Magic today.
Oh, well.
Yeah, there's a new
they're over
release
there.
for Murders at Karlov Manor.
Mm,
the-
that sounds cool.
It's the latest set, so yeah, it's got kind of this neat look and feel to the art of the cards. So yeah, that's what I'm here to play, but there's no dice in that aside from like your die that you use to keep score.
Yeah. Well, this is a little different. There's like cool abilities, there's Marvel and DC and Ninja Turtles and, D&D and things like that.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
are there like abilities on the cards? Do they have
Yeah.
powers and stuff?
Yeah, they have abilities and, they do certain things and, you do it based on the die. So
Oh, like
it's pretty
'cause
neat.
Magic has that too. Like we have this thing called Death Touch. So even if my card doesn't have enough power to destroy the other character's card, it destroys it anyway because it has Death Touch.
There's keywords and they do certain things.
Yeah, is there
But
something?
everything's based on the dice and your dice rolling and the dice bag and you have a pretty little mat and all these things.
Yeah, your mat looks really cool. Where did you get that?
Thanks. Oh, I personally made it
Oh,
myself.
that's so neat.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Nobody does that in Magic.
Oh, well.
You just buy the stuff. It's very there's a lot of stuff you can buy pre-made.
Yeah. Oh, pre-made, yeah. It's pretty cool. Like, you can actually do a lot of, your own little creations with this game.
I like your little bag there. What's that for? Is that for your dice?
Yeah, it is. You put your dice in there and you shake it all around and then you pull from it and then, you roll and then you go.
Do you do the hokey pokey too?
No.
Oh, okay. I like to sew. I bet I could make little bags like that.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, we got to sit down one day and talk.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, I gotta run. They're calling me for my draft.
Okay. Have fun.
Bye.
Bye.
1 week later.
Hey, Kim.
Hey, Jocelyn, you're back.
I
You gonna
am.
play Magic today?
Yeah, I got another Magic draft today. Still trying to collect some more cards. Are you playing that Dice Masters game again?
I am. I'm waiting for everybody to come over.
Well, that's so weird, Kim, because I went online after you were talking to me about it because I like dice. Like, sometimes they play role-playing games and they have all kinds of weird dice and things like that. So I went onto the internet to see if I could find anything about Dice Masters, and I couldn't find anything.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's kind of a local game you play in person.
Like, the only thing I could find was like the exhibitor page or whatever, the page of the company that makes it. They're called like Wiz something.
Not Wiz Kids? Yeah.
Yeah, not Wizards of the Coast.
No,
that's Magic. Wiz Kids.
Yes.
Yeah, so I found their page that talked about it, but I couldn't find I didn't even find listings for this game at the store that you're playing. There wasn't any listings for the event. Like with Magic, there's all kinds of stuff like online. There's like content creators that make stuff and they talk about cards, and there's previews and YouTube videos and how-tos and articles, and you can even play Magic online. They have this thing called Magic the Gathering Arena where you can play online even if you don't own the cards for free. I couldn't find anything for Dice Masters.
Yeah, you guys seem advanced over there.
Like,
there's nothing like that here.
How did you even find this game?
Just, I was in the board game store one day and I saw something called a starter pack or a starter set, and I just bought it and learned it from the book.
Oh, and then how did you find these people that you're playing with at the store?
I just went on this website called Board Game Geek.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, so the game does exist there. But you just won't find any videos or anything like that.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything. It was crazy.
Yeah, so I just kind of went there and put a comment, and I got a little hit, so we kind of meet and play,
Yeah.
And it's a 2-player game, so it's all you need.
So how many people come out and play with you, Kim?
About 4 to 8.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes maybe more if we decide to do a little tournament amongst ourselves.
But how do people find out about it? I guess they're all just like friends of yours.
Yes. Who tell other people, and but I also try to from the the website,
from that Board Game Geek place.
Mm-hmm.
So your friends have friends that bring friends.
Yeah. And people like dice rolling and cards and ability and Marvel and DC, because that seems to attract them. So they're interested. They're curious.
Oh. Well,
I'm trying.
I'm curious, Kim. How do I get this? I haven't even been able to find anywhere to buy it. It doesn't even look like it's on the shelf here at the store.
No, they don't shelf it, but I'm sure the lovely store owner here can help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They do have product, but we just have to order it.
Oh, so they just like order it in like custom order almost
Almost, yeah.
Like they don't put it on the shelf, but if you ask them, they'll pre-order it for you.
Yeah, and they'll get it in for you, whatever you want. I mean, if you went to the WizKids site, so there was a product listing there. So
yes, there was a product
listing. See what they
there.
have.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I did see it in their store, but shipping out of the U.S. is so expensive, and then customs and duty and all that sort of stuff. Like I was like, there's no way I'm spending that kind of money.
Yeah, don't worry, we'll hook you up here.
Okay. Well, maybe next week when I come out, instead of playing Magic, you can teach me how to play this dice game thing.
Yep, Dice Masters.
Yes,
become a master.
Can you like text me that Board Game Geek link thing so I can look up something?
Oh, sure, yeah, I will.
Cool. All right, well, have fun.
And I'll see you next week.
Have fun with your Dice Masters.
You too. Have fun with Magic.
Bye.
Bye.
So, Kim.
Mm-hmm.
What if there was no Dice Masters content creators?
Well, episode done. You just heard. Well, I think it will be quite different. As you can see, it's going to be mostly driven locally.
If at all.
But if at all. And I think that if it is driven locally, it would have to be pretty advertising, right? So people would really have to push it, have like little mini games and try to spread the word.
Yeah.
Which can be really hard. Right?
Definitely.
Yeah. When obviously I noted like Board Game Geek is one option, but really there is no others, right? If you don't have a community to push it or to help.
Yeah.
And the game.
I mean, to the best of my knowledge, and I do not in any way, shape, or form say that I am the be-all, end-all of Dice Masters knowledge here. But to the best of my knowledge, WizKids has never employed people to support the game.
No.
Right? So all of the content creators that are out there today or have been out there in the past are people like you and I.
Mm-hmm.
People who love this game and want to see it continue and enjoy talking about it and decided to share that with the world. Right?
Yes.
So, we're here and we've been doing this since 2020. So 2020 to 2021, 2021, 2022, 2023. So for 4 years almost, right? For 4 years, we've been, putting out podcast content. But before that, there was other podcasts, right? There's the Ministry of Dice.
Yeah.
There was the first one that I listened to, which was Double Burst.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Roll and Thunder, right? Arjun Lucan, we're putting out content. there's YouTubers, like there's Twitch people like Ross. Before you took over Weekly Dice Arena, Kim, Ross apparently was doing Dice Masters on Twitch for years.
Yeah.
I didn't know what Twitch was then, but
neither did I.
No, we've talked about that, but in past episodes. But like, so there's, Ross just did it because he wanted to play Dice Masters with his friends online, so he did that, and he put it on Twitch, and then it got a bit of a following there. People on YouTube, right? So, what was it called? Dice Masters with James and Zach?
Yeah.
Before,
I think so. Yeah. Before DM United. Yeah.
Before DM United. Of course, DM United had their podcast. We haven't heard from them in a while, but they've got videos. They've got podcast content. dm-north.com, the website that you and I are affiliated with. That's one of the main sources that I was following before, when I started to get into more competitive play and learn how to play the game better instead of my great big massive wall strategy. And if you can call that a strategy. So like all of these people, Jordo, Laurier, the people at the Dice Coalition who built the team builder, and the team builder that's now over at Roll & Thunder, because the Dice Coalition web domain is too expensive right now. And all of the other podcasts and all of the other articles and Reddit and Facebook and Discord, all of that is fan run.
Yes.
And all of that could be considered content creators.
Yeah.
So, sure, WizKids sent out preview product to certain people, like how you got into the game, right, Kim, with Watch It Played.
That's how I saw how to play. Yep.
Right. That's where you learned it. I learned it through, again, we've talked about this on the podcast in the past. Rob heard about it from a podcast that he listened to, and that podcaster was playing with his son, and they recorded some videos, which is how he heard about it. So they did, send out preview product and encourage people to share it online, but I don't know that anyone was actually paid to do it.
I think, I don't know if they were paid though. Dice Tower used to do a lot of it. I think Tom actually was really into Dice Masters.
Right, for a while. Tom, what's his name? Tom Vassell?
Tom, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, there may have been official content creator people that had been, supported by WizKids, but some of that support might have just been in product. Right? Here's some product.
Yeah.
Please share it on your channel. Maybe they paid people. I don't know what their business model is. Don't ask me. I'm not here to
I don't know.
speak
It
to
could
that.
change now. Who knows?
I have no idea. But, if they hadn't gotten the word out initially, they won some awards, right? In 2014, Best New Game when it was launched and things like that. Then they had all the supply issues, not enough, too much, feast and famine when it came to product release. But people still talked about it because they were playing the game, they enjoyed the game, and they wanted others to enjoy the game, so they created content around it.
Yeah.
And this type of content, the content that you and I create through this podcast, is just through sheer love of the game. Not because, WizKids has supported us in the past. They've provided us product to share, like preview and spoilers and things like that. So I don't want to say we haven't been supported, but we haven't been supported financially. And that's fine. That's not why I do this. If I did this podcast to make money,
we wouldn't be making much. We would need we still need our full-time jobs.
Yeah. No, there's no way this podcast makes money. For those of you that don't podcast, podcasting costs money. It doesn't make you money, at least at the level that we are podcasting. So if there was no content creators, then there wouldn't be word out about the game at all.
No.
And if there wasn't word out about the game at all, then the game would have died, for sure.
Yeah, because as you said, there would be no YouTube videos out there that even show people the product or how it works and how to play it.
Yeah.
There would be, and even if the people do play it online, it's so huge, right? Like we can play with people all over the world, and it's such an easy game to play online, right?
Yeah.
You don't need stuff from your opponent, really, right? So just think that by opening it up online, we get to play with people all over the world.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, are there any local scenes left?
No, not that I know of.
So, for context, I was just
Well, there's probably some, like California probably still has some of their stuff going.
maybe, but like I was just in Ottawa. So up until recently, and for those that are new to the podcast, if you're new to the podcast, welcome to this dying game. I was up in Ottawa, and Ottawa has had one of the most steady Dice Masters communities, playing at 2 different game stores for years and years and years. So when I was there this week on Monday, like last week, I knew I was going up for work. So I sent a message to the event organizer, our friend Shaw, and I said, hey, Shaw, I'm going to be in town on Monday. What's the theme? And he said, we're still doing our Legacy League. Here's the ban list. He's like, but really just bring whatever you want. Like, it's fine. You're coming in from out of town. So I threw together a team that met the ban list requirements. It wasn't a good team, Kim, but it met the ban list requirements and required me not to pull out anything that was Golden Age because I was very tight on time. And I just needed to pull out stuff that was modern. So I pulled out my Super Rare Molecule Man, and I built like a Spider-Man family team with modern stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to the store, and I got there, and the usual people were there, the general crowd. Because I was there, we were an odd number, so there was a buy, which was fine. We all sort of took a turn, and I got to play. We played 5 rounds. I played 4 out of 5 rounds, so I went 1 in 4. AKA I won my buy, which was what I expected, right? Because it was like a golden Legacy League where they've been like banning stuff at the end. And then at the end, they said that was the last event, at least for now. So, they're not saying forever, but they've decided to take a break. They're going to stop playing for a while because we haven't had any products in Secret Wars. WizKids hasn't released any news about what's going on. There isn't anything for us to buy, even if we wanted to, because there's no product available in Canada, short of Origin packs at Game Time Collectibles. It's gametime.ca. If you're interested in Origin packs, they're available online. Shipping almost everywhere. So there's nothing to buy. There's no product available, and they're just, they're just finding it very repetitive at this point. And I get it. When you've been playing every week, and some of those people play twice a week at the other store in Gatineau as well. Just, across the river there in Quebec. If you're playing once a week or twice a week and there's nothing new to add to it, and you've done all the themes and you've done the Legacy League, and, like, what's left? There's not really anything to talk about. If you think about articles on dm-north.com, Laurier has always been the most prolific article writer, and he's been actively writing articles, but there hasn't been an article lately because he hasn't had anything new to write about. I'm assuming that's the case. If I'm wrong, Laurier, I'm sorry.
Or, yeah, they're not playing. I don't know.
They have had, I follow their group, so I know what the events are like and things like that. So there have been fewer events, but they haven't stopped playing entirely. And they've been doing, something different up there. But it sounds like that store may also be, I don't want to say pulling the plug on Dice Masters, but not supporting it the way it has in the past. And in Canada, that was like the consistent league. Like, there isn't really anywhere else. Like, Jordo's group has basically disbanded. Kim, you and I don't get to play together anymore because I've moved.
Yep.
Right? Like, if I was still near you, then we could get together and play.
Yep.
But we went to the store and no one was interested in playing.
No.
Right? We had a couple of people that we sort of got into playing a little bit, but
yeah.
Like, there was like
Johnny,
Nick, Nathan.
Yep.
But we couldn't really get a scene going. Like, it was you, me, Marcus. Rob would come out sometimes. Dana would come out sometimes. And then occasionally we would get Nick, Nathan, and Johnny, the newer players. And that was it. Right? We couldn't get anyone else. The people that were playing in the store had no interest in Dice Masters. They were playing One Piece, or they were playing Pokemon or something else. I can't remember what other nights. We tried a bunch of different nights. We did some weekend stuff. We tried to get something going and there just was no luck, right? We couldn't get it to put a foothold in, even with consistent nights, even by changing nights. There was a lot of things we tried. We tried for a long time. So, and then when there's no product and there's nothing for people to buy, and I mean, there's a reason this podcast is a what if series. And it's because we're running out of things to talk about.
Yeah.
If you want to peek behind the curtain and see how the sausage is made, we're kind of running out of things to talk about. And
yep, this is how we have to be creative.
And we're not the only ones. Like, Ministry of Dice hasn't put out a podcast since January 1st.
Really?
It's been 6 weeks. And you might have seen on the Discord, Kim, that the Breath Weapon X crew, Alex and Rob, put out a notice saying that they're not, walking away from Dice Masters, but it's not going to be their primary content anymore.
Yeah.
They're going to be doing mostly video games. And they will still continue to put out Dice Masters content from time to time, but it's not going to be their main focus. We're seeing less online tournaments, and the online tournaments that we are seeing have less participation. People are starting to drift away, and that's even with content creators that have been putting out content.
Yeah, I'm still trying with tournaments and things like that.
Still trying with tournaments, still trying with podcasts, still trying with YouTube videos. Like, all of those things are still happening, mostly from us, but they're still there. And that is not meant to throw shade at anybody that's not doing it anymore. Like, I understand it's hard to come up with content when there's nothing to talk about. When there's nothing new to talk about.
Yeah. No new cards, no new sets.
So what if Dice Masters didn't have content creators? Is Dice Masters would be over.
Yeah,
and
nobody to keep it going.
Yeah.
Nobody to run tournaments. Nobody to run weekly events.
Nobody to create awareness.
No content. Yeah, no videos. No nothing.
And that would be it. However, Kim, we're still here.
DM North strong.
We're trying to keep it up. We got some good feedback recently on an episode a few months back about the type of content that our listeners want to hear. So we have that sort of list in our bank, and we do have some ideas. We're not walking away from Dice Masters entirely, as we continue to talk about Dice Masters on our Dice Masters podcast most of the time.
Yeah, we'll find it until we honestly hear word from WizKids, which I hope word will come soon. I guess we can only hope.
So I don't know if this is the right What If podcast to talk about this on, Kim, but let's do it anyway. What if word came down that Dice Masters was done? I guess we talked about that on the last one.
I think a little bit.
So what if word came down that Dice Masters was done, and 2 years from now, they started releasing Dice Masters again?
So WizKids says, we're done.
Or WizKids says nothing.
Okay.
So let's say WizKids takes the attack wing approach. To the best of my knowledge, they never officially called attack wing done. They just stopped printing ships. And they occasionally released little card packs. But I don't believe they were answering rules questions. And what little scene they had appears to have died out. And that was a couple years ago. And now here we are, 2024, February. And on the solicits, there's attack wing.
Huh.
There's attack wing product coming out in 2024, according to the WizKids solicits. Do you think that content creators would come back? Or do you think they would have moved on?
2 years?
2 years.
That's a long time.
It is.
I would say they probably moved on. Obviously, I would say 2 years. They probably moved on. Will they come back and give it a go? Probably.
Yeah, you think so?
I would think they would still purchase the product. I mean, depends. depends on how deep you were in it, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? Like how much of a, I guess, passion you had for the game. I mean, if you just picked it up and you played and it was just nothing and you didn't do anything else other than, kitchen table or whatever, or local, and didn't really care and you only play for a couple of months, you're probably not going to pick it up again in 2 years.
Right.
But I think you were if deep down, what is it, the rabbit hole, they say? I don't know the saying. I think they would pick it up. I think it depends on how many years did you give to the game, right? So
that's one thing to think about. I guess the other thing to think about is in the current state that we're in, we kind of had a 2-year gap, basically. Like we had from 2020, which was the launch of Avengers Infinity Gauntlet, until 2022, before we got Dark Phoenix Saga and Superman Kryptonite Crisis. So we had a 2-year gap. Now, in fairness, during that 2-year gap, there was a global pandemic.
mm-hmm.
And then we had basically a year gap before we got Secret Wars. So now it's been almost a year since Secret Wars came out. It's been almost 2 years since Secret Wars was announced and spoiled by us that the card art had been changed and that the design had been changed. So, you think about that. We're already a year into no product, or almost a year into no product, and no news about product. If there was another year of that, we might drift off. Like we talked a little bit, we joked at the beginning about Jocelyn being at the game store to play Magic. And I am playing Magic a little bit.
Yes, you are.
But not like Dice Masters. Like I don't love Magic the way I love Dice Masters.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't love HeroClix the way I love Dice Masters. HeroClix and Dice Masters are both my children. And I want to say I love them both equally, but I don't know if that's true anymore. You're a parent, you're not supposed to pick a favorite kid.
Right.
So, but, on Monday when I went out to Ottawa and I played with the crew up there, Shaw and Petrus and Frank and Claude and Christine and Nick, I had a great time. Those are great people. And I never would have met those people if there weren't Dice Masters content creators.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wouldn't have. If there weren't Dice Masters content creators, I wouldn't have known that there was going to be a Canadian Nationals in 2019 in Gatineau. And if I didn't know that there wasn't a Canadian Nationals in Gatineau in 2019, I wouldn't have gone to Gatineau in 2019, and I wouldn't have met all of these people because I met them at Canadian Nationals. After finding out about it through content creators.
Yeah.
And all of those people I met through that group of people, through that, right? That, Laurier as well, and some other people, Stefan and a few other people, but they play at the Gatineau side, is not the Ottawa side. But when I was there on Monday and I was hanging out, losing all of my games with the crappy team that I built in 5 minutes before I left for Ottawa on Monday morning, I had a fantastic time. I learned how to play Vicious Struggle. I'd never played that before. It's dumb, FYI.
Isn't it banned?
Yeah.
I thought that was a banned card. It was a banned card.
Yeah, but when you're running a local event, you can do whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
So they didn't ban anything in their Legacy League. Everything was in. And then when it won, it was eliminated. So everything was in. So, I'd never played it before. I'm like, I don't understand that card. I do not understand how it works. And Shaw was playing it. He's like, I don't really like playing it. I'm just playing it to get it banned. And so we went through and he was playing it. And I learned how to play it. So now I understand how Vicious Struggle works. But Vicious Struggle is a basic action that says whenever you take damage, your opponent takes double that damage. Right?
Right.
Something to that effect. So he had a whole bunch of globals on his team that when he had a Vicious Struggle in play, he would pay for a global and he would take a damage and then I would take 2 damage. And then sometimes he had 2 vicious struggles in play at the same time. So if he took 1 damage, I would take 4 damage or something like that. Yeah,
something like that.
Double.
Yeah.
But he didn't have 3 because I was smart enough to buy one of his vicious struggle dice. So he only had 2. But so I mean, I'm still learning things about this game. But if you've been playing it since 2014 and you've played in legacy leagues and you've played all of the teams and you've played all of these combinations, then maybe, maybe it's time for a break. What new things could they introduce to keep you going? And if you had to wait 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, and we said in the podcast before, like, you could be a little bit more creative and look at other cards. But
absolutely,
people are set in their ways sometimes, and they don't like change. So,
yeah,
right. I mean, if you limit all these cards, then you leave you with other pools. So maybe you can find something else in that pool. How much did we say? How many cards were out there? A lot, 1,000, right? So
over 4,000.
Yeah,
probably slightly less than 4,000 because we know there are some reprints, but
yeah, and I mean it. And your team's only 8 cards, so it's not like you're banning a whole bunch of cards, or
well, 10 cards because the basic actions were being banned too.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
but yeah. So if there was no Dice Masters content creators, if there were no people that love the game as much as you and I do, as much as Chris and Andy did, as much as Arjun Lucan and KT Data and friends from Double Burst and all of the people from all of the places that have made content in the past, and I'm not excluding people on purpose, I just don't know everyone's names. James and Zach and Ben and Peter and all of them at Dice Masters United, etc. Like everybody that makes content. If they didn't make it, then there wouldn't be anything to find on the internet. There isn't anything to find on the internet, then the game is not going to exist.
Yep. So. It doesn't exist in those people, right? So it doesn't exist on the people who go to YouTube to find game. It doesn't exist for them. So
no, absolutely. And there's no web pages for the internet to index, and that's it. So
I mean, we probably never had a team builder site. We probably would have never had like draft pack. You know what I mean? Like all these things.
Yeah.
All these tools.
The team builder is huge, right? We've talked about that before, Kim. Like you said, you can't even build a team with a team builder.
No, I don't build from my cards. I build from the team builder.
Yeah. And that's fan made. That's content creation. Fan made, fan maintained, fan financially supported.
Yeah. Yep.
So, we put, as content creators, we put our own money into making this content, into the webpage hosting, into the podcast hosting, into, I mean, because maybe not so much into YouTube, but you still need product. Like you still need technology, right? You need a webcam and a microphone and things like that. So you're putting money into that.
Yeah, you still need to purchase stuff.
Yeah. Even though YouTube is technically free.
It is, yeah.
Although I'm probably sure that somewhere in the YouTube terms of service, which are probably 14,000 pages long, it probably says YouTube owns your content. So
it probably says that.
But I haven't read the YouTube terms of service.
No.
I just
who reads those things anyways?
I used to.
Really? For anything he says, please accept this.
I used to when they weren't 14,000 pages long.
Oh my gosh, they're not really 14,000 pages.
Well, they're really long though. When I first started like doing things online, I would read it all. But it wasn't long then. It was like 1 page. Now I'm like, okay, if I'm on the internet, I just have to accept this. I have to accept this term of service. Otherwise, I can't do the thing that I want to do. So I just accept everything.
Yeah. I don't even read it. I scroll down and be like, yeah.
Exactly. As if they think the scrolling down means you've read it.
Yeah. But sometimes you have to scroll to get that thing to appear. So.
I know. That's what I'm saying. What else we got, Kim, on the content creators?
Nothing. I mean, again, just to reiterate, if we didn't have these people, nobody would know Dice Masters existed. And you know what? Props to every single content creator out there, because
100%.
Steam wouldn't be going without you.
Past, present, and future.
Yes. And since the beginning, since this product came out, there has been content creators, and I think it got more and more as the years go on. And yeah, I mean, as we said on the podcast before, we will keep this going until someone tells us not to. So
until it doesn't become fun anymore.
Well, or WizKids says, yeah, we're done. So
I mean,
maybe we can still keep going. Who knows? I mean,
I feel
we're pretty creative, so
in theory, Kim, we could keep it going if we wanted to, right? Yeah. Like, I think as long as you and I are having fun doing this, we will probably keep doing it. Even if WizKids came out and said from like on high, from a pedestal, that said, this is it, Dice Masters is done, we're never doing this ever again, I feel like we'd probably talk about it for at least another 6 months.
Yeah. Or, I mean, as long as we have listeners, we will make it. So
yeah.
And yeah.
And listeners do make the difference for us. So you've probably noticed, if you're a regular listener, that during these What If series, we have not done a dice bag. And that's not because we haven't received feedback. We have, but we wanted to keep that separate. So we are going to be doing an exclusive What If dice bag for all the What If episodes sometime in the near future.
Yeah. So it's not what if we didn't have a dice bag.
No.
What if we actually did have a dice bag?
Yeah. So there will be a What If dice bag episode where we are exclusively going to talk dice bag content about the What If series. So if you have feedback that you haven't sent in that you would like us to talk about, please send it to us. Please post it on the internet where we can find it. Please hashtag it Dice Masters so it's searchable, so people can find this game and encourage WizKids to print more of it. All of those types of things. So we will be talking about that, and feedback is encouraged, welcomed, and appreciated of any type.
And even if you even have a what if for yourself that you've been thinking for us to talk about, let us know.
Exactly, so that we can continue this series, because I actually find it very interesting to try and think about these things, like what if something was different? What if this happened? What if that happened? What if there were no content creators? What if Dice Masters didn't release any more products? So if you have a what if that you want to send us, please do. So I guess on that note, Kim, we should tell people where they can send us this stuff.
Yeah, but before we get there,
yes,
2 Team Takedown is happening.
Nice.
Speaking of content creators, DM North is putting on 2 Team Takedown again. If you do not know what it is, 2 Team Takedown is a over 4 weeks tournament. You play a game a week. Pretty much, you have a week to play your game. You build 2 teams, and what you have to pretty much do is win with those 2 teams. So you can play 2 games or 3 games, depending on how it goes. But you got to win with both your teams. And this 2 Team Takedown officially starts March 4th. And sign up goes up until March 1st is the Friday, I think. So you have up until then to sign up and submit your teams. Our theme is diversity. So, which means you cannot repeat any affiliation between both your teams.
So you have to have 16 cards because it's 2 teams. Well,
yes.
I guess in theory you don't have to have 16 cards on a team.
True. Up to 16 cards.
Up to 16 cards, and each one has to have a unique affiliation.
Right. So if you use Batman, you can't have Batman again in this current team and any other team. You cannot have that affiliation. Works for flip cards too. So some flips have villains on one and an affiliation on the other. If you use a flip card, both are done. You can't use villains and you can't use Batman throughout to both their teams.
Interesting.
So, yes, I've been building my team, and it's been interesting because I checkmarked all the affiliations, and as I go, I'm unchecking them so I don't put it on. You know what I mean? And going back and forth between my 2 teams. So that's happening right now. So If you go onto our website, and we'll also post it in our show notes, have a read through. If you're interested, please join and sign up on Challenge. Whether you are new to playing or you are veteran of playing, come out and play and have some fun. And I really encourage our new players, because I was one to never want to play tournaments, but that is the best way of learning this game.
Yeah. And in a game like, in a theme like this with diversity, where you're going to play so many different cards, this is a great opportunity to build something different and unique.
Yeah. So one of my teams is different. The other team is, you've heard of this character, but my other team is very not really. He doesn't get played at all.
So are you playing Orbital Strike, Kim?
I am not.
Really?
No, I am not playing Orbital Strike. And we did not ban Team Up. I am not playing Team Up either.
But those are your two favorite basic actions.
I know. I am not playing either of them.
I'm so proud of you, Kim.
And then one of them I said is a known card. The other one is not, who's my main win condition on the team. So I always play these tournaments for fun and to try things that I'm like, oh yeah, that guy, I haven't played that guy in so long, I'm totally gonna play that one, right? So I just, and I just finished building both my teams. I just have to maybe actually play practice. So, Weekly Dice Arena is still happening, and we will be having a practice for 2-team takedown in 2 weeks. So, coming out and play, whether we don't stream it or not, we can still play, right? So,
absolutely. I just sent you a message, Kim, to find out if I guessed the correct character on one of your.
Oh, live here right now.
You don't have to look at it right now, but I didn't want to ask, I didn't want to say something on the podcast in case.
Are you guessing one? No.
Really? That's not the one?
No.
So then I can say it.
Yes.
So I said to Kim, is it Orion? Because Kim loves Orion.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, no, it's not Orion. So
you will never guess the one card. I doubt you will.
The one that you like?
The one that I'm playing.
Oh, okay.
That I like, I do.
But you said one is like a known card, so that's why I went with Orion.
Yeah. One is a known card, but it's not that. Jordo and Mike would know what I'm playing, because I think I may have told them when we were discussing final 2-team takedown stuff.
Gotcha.
But no, that is not it.
Yeah. I will not be playing because, as usual, it's very difficult for me to coordinate games in the time zones that work for me with my work schedule. But I will be following the content avidly because, Kim, I'm sure you're going to record and post your games.
Yep. I do record them, yes.
Yeah. And some people will stream games, and there will be content to watch, and I will be watching it. And I'll be looking forward to I'll be looking forward to website write-ups. And also podcast recaps, Kim. So
yeah,
take note of your games because I want podcast recaps.
Podcast recaps.
Yeah, we'll have to come up with a better name for it.
That sounds fine. It rhymes almost. Podcast recaps. I don't know.
Kim's Dice Masters podcast recap something. We'll come up with something. Anyway,
an acronym.
So yeah, I look forward to seeing your teams, and I look forward to seeing the teams that other players came up with, and I hope that the diversity theme is very popular.
So. Yeah, so it'll be fun.
So, share your feedback about our What If series. Share your feedback about what character you think Kim's built one of her teams around. You can do it in all the usual places. And you can also let us know what you'd like to hear in a What If series or other content you'd like to hear from us in future. So you can do that through reaching out to us on our website at dm-north.com and putting a comment on our episode post. You can also find us on youtube.com/dmNorthTV or twitch.tv/dmNorthTV. You can find us on Discord, where we have our own Discord channel in the dmNorthTV Discord server. The Discord channel is a Double on Dice podcast. You can leave content there. You can @ us on Discord. I am at JoceStitch, JOCE Stitch. Kim is at SuperK. You can find us on all the socials, which include TikTok, Instagram, X, Threads, I feel like I'm forgetting something. Facebook, dmNorthTV. And until next time. Oh, and you can also send us an email at tripledpodcast@dm-north.com. So until next time, on a double on dice.